Hello, and welcome to the Sisters of the Shire podcast. I'm Abby,
And I'm Ashley.
and our podcast is all about talking about our love of Tolkien stories and maybe introducing or helping you through some that you might have missed.
This season, we are covering the Unfinished Tales, Tolkien's extended version / alternate universe / deleted scenes of a lot of the stories from the Silmarillion, plus some bonus content that didn't work with the Silmarillion narrative flow.
So, whether you've read every book cover to cover, or you're just here because you're curious about Tolkien's other works or had a hard time reading them, which honestly, valid, they're
Valid.
a little hard to get through, all are welcome.
Now let's dive into the Unfinished Tales. Woo! Yeah!
Let's go!
Let's go!
Woo!
How are you today, Abigail?
Oh, today has been a kind of a bummer day. It's first of all, we are in a flood warning right now,
Oh gosh.
because it's so rainy. So rainy here.
Ruh-roh.
It's very gray, very rainy. Um and then we were invited to the funeral of a dear sweet neighbor of ours who passed
Hmm.
away. She was 92.
I mean,
um
take note.
I know.
Like, did you ask her what her
She lived
secret
a
was,
great life.
or?
So she loved our family. She loved the kids. And so she always wanted us to come over for a pizza party. So we'd
Oh,
always get pizza. And she'd have one tiny little slice of pepperoni pizza and a tiny little can of Coca-Cola with a little straw in it because she was literally so tiny. I feel like she could not have lifted the cup. She was smaller than Luna. She
wow.
was like this teeny tiny. They could have shared clothes. My daughter's 9, by the way. um, she was this teeny tiny little lady who had the biggest glasses, and her name was Alice, and
Oh,
she loved my kids. She went to their school plays and their winter programs and like her little wheelchair and her we'd see them she would walk with the kids around the park, and she she would always want the kids to come over for a pizza party. We'd have dinner with her multiple times, and we'd play card games. And it was really cute because we like would bring over card games, and then she'd play. She's like, "I don't know how to do this, but I'm just happy you're here." She's like, we could. She was just so like she lived by herself, so I think
aw.
she was really excited to have other people there. But um, like one of my favorite memories is so she's been our neighbor for 10 years, and so she knew me through uh like being pregnant with Oakley,
Hmm.
and she so she always wanted to take care of me while I was pregnant, always asked if she could do anything for
Oh,
me when she was the one like literally wheelchair little lady in a wheelchair. She always wanted to babysit, all these things. And then when I had Oakley, it was during lockdown, and we couldn't go visit because of course she's very a fragile,
hmm.
elderly person. So we didn't go visit her in her home, but she wanted to see Oakley. So every few weeks we'd go over and like pop his little head over her fence so she could see him
That's
from
adorable.
her porch. So like you would just see like there's nothing, and then you just see this little baby head just like those like that dad or uncle trick where it's like I'm walking down the stairs like
Yeah.
behind a couch,
Yeah.
or oh, it's the elevator, and then they like go down. But it's like that, but with a little
But with a
baby.
baby, yeah.
And then I know, and so it was her funeral today, and um I felt very special. We felt very special because it was kind of a weird feeling because when we went, we didn't know. anybody.
Mhm.
I knew no one at that funeral because we just knew her as our neighbor. We never met her family. We never met blah, blah, blah. And so,
Like, who are these kids?
her
Who are these
son,
people?
I know, I know. Her son wasn't able to make it to her funeral. He had like, I think he had like a heart attack or like a stroke or something, like driving to her funeral. And so he wasn't able to go. But um, he's in the hospital, but he wrote like a little thing to be read at her funeral by the pastor. And he said, my mom loved all her family and friends, and especially the little neighborhood kids that would come over and have dinner and play games with her. It was in his like little speech about his mom. I'm like, those are my kids.
Sort of
So
heard you.
yeah,
It's worth
I
mentioning.
know. It was yeah, and I do have to mention it's just so it's like concrete somewhere out in the universe that so my daughter Luna is very empathetic and she's very we've had a hard year with funerals and so it was very she was very weepy throughout the funeral Luna was
Hmm.
today. And Oakley, my 4-year-old, just kept like looking at her like, Luna, why are you crying? Luna, what's wrong? And they were like, it's she's sad. Like she misses Alice. I mean, she's known Alice her whole life, and it's like she's sad about it. And so like Oakley walks up to her while we're sitting in the like the chairs, not really pews, but it was the chairs at the funeral home, and he walks in front of Luna and he looks at her like really seriously, and then he looks at me. He's like, "Don't look at me, Mom." And I'm like, "Okay." And so like kind of turn my head, and then I like look out of the side of my eye, and he like gives Luna a big hug, and he like puts his hands on her face, like it's okay,
Oh,
Luna. I was like,
you did it right. You did
angels.
it right.
I know. I know. So it's been a sad day.
Lizzie during Peyton's funeral, like, was insistent on handing me tissue after tissue after tissue to the point of like, I'm good, child. Like,
There's a little pot mountain of tissues next to you.
pretty much,
There
yeah.
was. There was next to me too. But yeah, it was so it's been a little gloomy. The weather's gloomy.
Well, R.I.P. Alice.
I know. Alice. Um uh she was a good one.
So, do you want to like talk about Tolkien to like cheer your spirits, or I can't think of anything better to lift someone's mood than by talking about Tolkien.
Hey, it's something I love talking about. Luna said, what did she say? She goes, Mom, after the funeral, can we just like look at pictures of kittens or like something
I feel that.
to make me feel better? I was like, that's a good plan. That's a
Hmm.
good plan. So this is my version of looking at kittens and feeling better. It's talking about something I love, which is Tolkien. So let's do it.
Okay. So, how much do you remember of last week?
We learned about the middle of the island.
Hmm.
Um, and then
Called
we also
Mittelmar.
learned, whoa,
Uh,
that's a very creative name.
I know.
What should we call the middle of the island? Um, and then the other thing I remember was there were, or I remember two other things. One was they had like a mountain
Hmm.
thing that like they dedicated to not the Valar, but
Eru Aluvatar.
Iluvatar.
Yeah.
And it was not necessarily like a flashy cathedral thing. It was like a just a mountain, very natural.
Yeah.
Natural what's the word? Natural
Like sacred space
worship.
worship.
Worship
Yeah.
like very um and they had the king like you only went up the mountain a few times a year, I think. Like there was like special times throughout the year that you're supposed to that they went up the mountain or they did special ceremonies or something like that.
Yeah. So you could go up the mountain anytime. And funny enough, those times an eagle would come and visit you. To what purpose?
I forgot about that.
Yeah. And then 3 times a year, they were known as the three prayers. They would have like a prayer or like a thanksgiving or like a praise. And those are the only times that the king was allowed to speak um, on the mountain. And it was like a big ceremony thing.
Oh.
Other than that, no talking at all.
Yes. And then there was the cool eagles, which was pretty awesome. And then the other thing I remember was that they loved their horses. That's the other thing I
Yes.
remember.
Yes. I mean, that's the gist of it. There were those two weird cookie bites out of the Middlemar. One was like a sheep land kind of thing, pasture. And then the other cookie bite was Arandor, which had the king's land, technically the Meneltarma, and Romena, the biggest seaport.
Yes.
So so there's that, the love of horses, the reverence for birds, some of the cool things that were brought from Middle Earth to Numenor that were sadly lost in the Akelabeth. But the only thing that did remain was the Ring of Badahir that um,
Oh
Aragorn would
yeah,
later
they
wear.
lost a bunch of cool stuff.
Mm-hmm. No room on that
I
lifeboat.
forgot
Yeah,
about that.
yeah, yeah. So, are you
All
ready
right, all right.
to hear the story that section was basically laying the groundwork for?
Okay.
Okay, starting a new section. Yay! It is called Aldarion and Erendis, the Mariner's Wife. Now, let me start off by saying that in the past, I've kind of switched things around, maybe, moved different sections here or there that made more sense in my brain than how technically Tolkien and Christopher had them in the books. I hope they forgave me. But for this section, I actually feel like they did a really good job of putting the description of Numenor first, because it really does provide great context for the story. So hopefully some of the names and places will sound familiar, but if not, don't worry. I would never assume you remember every little thing I tell you. I'll make sure and kind of remind you or give the nicknames like we do.
Oh gosh, there's not going to be a pop quiz, right?
There's always a pop quiz.
No.
Uh,
No.
But I think that's one of our strong suits of our podcast is that we kind of provide the nicknames and we provide the constant reminders, like it's that thing with the thing, like so. That's our strong
That
suit.
guy. No, what we help with is like, what do they do? They tell you to do while you're studying, like
A mnemonic device.
make a little rhyme about this
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, mnemonic device. But ours is like, oh, what's that guy?
Your face.
That one that they always referenced like a pop culture character
Oh yeah.
from.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, we just match like
Mm-hmm.
that. So then that's how we help,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
Be it a Marvel character, Parks and Rec
Yeah.
character, like
Um,
Disney character, Star
or our
Wars.
nicknames A-hole and Jerkface.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I feel like that is our biggest strength. Yeah. Okay. So, that being said, we are going to start off our story with a man named Meneldur. And I can't decide who his lookalike or uh, nickname will be yet. Maybe you'll come up with one by the end of the episode. But we have Meneldur. He was the son of the fourth king of Numenor, and he will eventually become our fifth king of Numenor.
Okay. Fifth
He will
king?
be the fifth king. Now, remember that the men of Numenor were blessed with a long life. So while the fourth and fifth king of Numenor doesn't sound all that impressive, Meneldur's father, who was the fourth king, he ruled for 150 years and lived for 401 years. And then Meneldur himself would rule for 143 years and live for 399 years. So, like, you know, the line of succession is actually very long. I might have only been a fifth king,
Hot
but
dang.
hundreds of years have passed. Yeah.
Hot dang. That's
hmm
crazy.
Now, something worth mentioning is that Meneldur had two older sisters. The eldest sister was a woman we talked about before, Silmarean, and the other sister's name is Isilme. Now, kind of a review on Silmarean, because that's what we do. Remember, she was the lady crowned with shining silver. That's why it sounds close to Silmaril. And like I said, she was the oldest child, but this was the girl who was passed over for the crown because she was a woman. And at the time, women couldn't be queens of Numenor. So
Hmm, hmm.
lame.
Lame.
She did, however, marry a very nice man by the name of Elatan, which roughly translates to Starman, which I'm here for. Um, I know,
Starman. Star Lord.
maybe. He was one of the noblemen of Andunier to the west. We kind of talked about that being a kind of aristocrat area, but not royal area. And with the
Okay.
combination of that noble house plus like a royal princessness, their children would later become the first Lord of Andunier. And his their first child was named Valandiel, which translates to devoted to the powers. And his descendants we've talked about before would include Elendil, Isildur, Aragorn, etc. So
Okay.
she is important. Um,
Devoted to the powers.
yes,
Interesting.
powers being the Valar, which adds up
Mm.
because a lot of the Andunier ancestors are very loyal to the Valar. So adds up. Now, the other sister's name was Isilme. We talked about the word Isil before. It means moon. And so Isilme could mean something like moon woman, moon lady, something along those lines.
Moon
I know.
lady.
Unfortunately, nothing else is known about her except her year of birth. So, hi, Isilme, bye, Isilme.
No.
Page time is very short. Now, we're going to go back to our man, Meneldur. An important thing to note about Meneldur is his name means devoted to the heavens, which you will find really encompasses the personality of this guy.
Devoted to the heavens.
Yes. Quote, for his mind looked further than Middle Earth. He was enamored of the stars and the heavens. All that he could gather of the lore of the Eldar and the Edain concerning Ea, or the universe, and the deeps that lay about the kingdom of Arda he studied. And his chief delight was in the watching of the stars. He built a tower in the Forestar, that was the northernmost region of the island, where the airs were clearest, from which by night he could survey the heavens and observe all the movements of the lights of the firmament.
Hmm. Did hmm. In my brain, I'm like, did they have anything to actually like telescope wise, or is he just eyeballing it? Is he raw eyeballing
That's a great question. I do not have an answer,
it?
but I mean, well, hold on. I'm like trying to think. I don't think it's not a periscope. Jack Sparrow, not a monocle.
Yeah.
I
What is
can't think
that
of what's that
called?
called.
What is that called? I know it is a
Um,
spyglass,
a
but
spyglass. Yeah, that I mean
yeah.
that works. So I don't think that was out of the question. So I don't know why a telescope would be out of the question. I mean, maybe, but I don't have definitive evidence.
I just like to think he's like, that star was like a little bit brighter than that other star that I can see with my raw eyeballs right now, and that's his like
Yes.
only scientific study he can do.
I mean, maybe.
Well, I mean, if you looked at like the Rings of Power when they talk about stars and stuff, and I know this isn't like canon to a lot of things, but like back then when you didn't have telescopes and stuff like that, it was more of maps, a map,
Yeah.
and then instead of like science. You know what I mean?
You know what? You know what's funny is I'm thinking of Lord of the Rings movies and the Rings of Power show, and they didn't have a need for a spyglass because most of them had elf vision, and I'm assuming the
What do
Edain had
your
elf
elf eyes
vision too of
see?
some kind. Yes, exactly. I'm like trying to imagine Aragorn with the spyglass, and I can't do it. So I think
Well,
it was one of those inventions that wasn't necessary to make because they had good vision.
they have special eyes. Um,
Yes.
uh, or another thing that they always like used the stars and stuff for was like dates of things, I would say. Like,
Yeah. Hmm.
that's how they did record keeping, kind of like in The Hobbit when they're like, they needed to get to the mountain by Durin's Day, which is, I don't, what was it? Such and such October, I think it's
Something
October.
of autumn. Yeah.
Yeah,
The last
but
moon
like
of autumn or whatever.
but like that's the only way they would know is
Right.
that way. Anyway, I got too
That
into
makes
it.
sense.
Just me thinking
No,
about
I like it.
extra lore.
Oh, I like it. I love it. I want some more of it. Okay. So that being said, Meneldur isn't exactly a man of like muscles or pride or aggression. He's more, your nerd type. He's peaceful, very gentle, likes thinking about things. He's more of a philosopher than a man of war.
Hmm.
Now, he did love Numenor, like the land of Numenor, but he was more interested in the stars than the actual like discovering of the other lands and areas of Numenor. And he especially wasn't as interested in the surrounding sea.
Okay.
Now, you'll find out why that is going to be a conflict later in life. But for now, he is the heir to the throne slash kind of prince at the time. So he spent the majority of his time in Forestar in his tower observing the stars, but eventually he did have to move to the royal city of Armenelos to be on kind of a standby for him to receive the scepter from his father.
He didn't want to be king. He just wants to look at the stars.
Exactly. Um, I did imagine that, like, I don't want to go. The air
Yeah.
quality will disrupt my map making.
Yeah. The light
So
pollution? Are you kidding me? I can't
I know.
see the stars.
Now, while he is in prince mode in Armenelos, Meneldur does get married to a woman named Almerian, which is something along the lines of blessed or blessed.
Hmm.
And she plays a significant role in this story, not exactly for her actions or personality, but I mean, that will come to play later. But the main thing I want you to remember is her dad. Now, we talked about her dad a little bit in the last episode, but his name was Viantor. He was the captain of the king's ships under Meneldor's father's rule, and he was the first person to sail from Numenor back to Middle Earth.
Oh
Remember that from
yeah.
last? Yeah. Okay, so more about him in a minute, but just remember that he is the father-in-law at the moment. Now, Meneldur and Almerian had three children. The first child was Enardil, which is devoted to the sun, but later his king name, because remember those that changes sometimes, would be Tar Aldarion, son of trees. And funny enough, he's only known for Aldarion throughout this whole story. So pretty much forget the name Enardil. and just go with Aldarion. Aldarion is the name to remember for this guy. Just honorable mention to his birth name, I guess. So the second child was a girl, Eilinel, which is possibly like lake woman or lake daughter. And she would have a son named Soronto, which possibly has something to do with eagles. He plays a minor role later, but just kind
I'm
of
sorry,
logged it.
Toronto.
I don't know how else to say it other than Soronto. Soronto.
Soronto.
Uh,
Soronto.
I don't know how to
It just
say it.
sounds
Yeah,
not. It doesn't go. It's not. It doesn't go with the
I
flow. It doesn't
agree. I
fit.
agree. I agree.
Ugh.
I know. So log that guy away for later. Tonto. I'm like, why does it sound so familiar? Okay. Anyway.
Or Sorrento. Or.
Oh yeah, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the
Mm-hmm,
second
mm-hmm.
sister is Almiel, possibly something having to do with blessing, again, like her mother, Aldarion, kind of Alm is the blessing. Other than that, nothing
Mm-hmm,
else is known
mm-hmm.
about her. So, like the other sister,
Typical.
honorable mention, but that's about it. Yeah, I
Typical.
know. So now that we have given you the basic family history, let's meet our main character. You know him, you love him, Aldarion. You'll get to know him. You'll get to love him.
What's that for?
Yeah.
Oh, that reminds me of. Is it Incredibles?
Yes.
He's
Bigger. He's
bigger. He's
better.
better.
Or also it's like vaguely
Anyway, go
thinking of
on, go on.
Aladdin.
Oh yeah.
So
Uh,
Aldarion, quote, a man of great stature, strong and vigorous in mind and body, golden haired as his mother, ready to mirth and generous, but prouder than his father, and ever more bent on his own will.
oh,
Yes.
he's one of those.
Yes. So maybe more like a tour Thor kind of character. Maybe almost like a Tulkas, where he's like, loves to laugh and play jokes, but is all about that war and pound and muscle and stuff. But definitely not
Mhm,
like his dad, right? Like that picture has been painted.
mhm,
Okay.
mhm. His poor nerdy little dad.
Yes.
He probably has he probably has some form of elf glasses
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes.
from trying to look at the stars without any help.
I love that. I'm loving the picture. I'm still trying to cast this character in my head. He's Anthony Hopkins at the moment. The dad is. Um, so if you want to hop on board with me on that
Oh,
train, I'm
no, he's Bruce Banner before the Hulk. He's just nerdy little
oh,
Bruce.
okay.
He could be nerdy little Bruce, or he could be. I'll think about it. I'll think
Okay.
about it.
But in my head, he's really old because he's a dad. So I don't know.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll think about
Okay.
it. I'll
You
think
think
about
about it.
it.
Okay, so he's definitely not like his father, and that's because he actually liked hanging around his grandfather, Viantor, the captain of the king's ships. He hung out with him a lot more, which led to Aldarion having a love of the sea and of shipbuilding. In fact, he hated the northern area of Forestar that his father loved and instead spent every minute he could near Romena, the closest port to the royal city of Arminelos.
So he ditched his nerd dad
Mm-hmm.
to go hang out with his cool grandpa.
Exactly. Now,
That
a
was like
different,
a warrior guy, like more of a
yeah,
soldier.
yeah. Now,
Okay.
a different father would have hated this difference in interest and pushed him like, no, let's read some books. Let's look at the stars. Don't you don't need that adventure. And I can see him being like you don't need all that flashiness over there. Like, let's think about why this star is here. And Aldarion's like wanting to like bounce off the walls and run outside and splash in the water and stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
that wasn't exactly in Meneldor's character. In fact, he actually liked that Aldarion had a passion for something that, could keep his mind and hands occupied. So,
He's
good
a
dad.
supportive father.
Hmm. Now, Aldarion's relationship with Viantar only grew with time. Viantor would teach him to row a boat, manage a sail, and eventually even captain his own ship that they would sail around Numenor.
Okay.
So one day, Viantor takes Aldarion aside and he offers to take him on a trip to sail to Middle Earth. Now, Aldarion is at his full age, which is 25, funny enough. I'm like, you think with the lifespan being longer, it'd be later, but full age is 25, apparently. And,
I'm 118, Dad. You can't take me. You can't keep me here forever.
exactly. But Viantor isn't the young man he once was, and he wants to sail the Middle Earth, one last time. So, kind of a last hurrah for
I get
Grandpa.
it. I get it.
Quote, we will go to Mythland, which is the Grey Havens, and see the tall blue mountains of Middle Earth and the green land of the Eltar at their feet. Good welcome you will find from Círdan the shipwright and from King Gilgalad.
Aww.
Like, imagine that senior
I want
trip.
to
Yeah, I want to go.
go.
So Viantor lays all this out, and he's like, you know what, Aldarion, talk to your dad and see what he says. Typical grandpa move, right? Like, hey, I'm going to take you. Would you like to go to Disneyland? I hear it's a really cool place and, all these rides and all these things. But, talk to your dad about it. Like, how does the dad say, no, you can't go to Disneyland? Like, it's a typical grandpa move of like the over promising this grand adventure. And then, but you know what? Why don't you go ask his permission first? So Aldarion tells his dad all about it, and I'm sure he's like so excited, and we could do this, and we could be Círdan, and he's so excited. But quote, Meneldur was loath to grant it. A chill came upon him, as though his heart guessed that more hung upon this than his mind could foresee. But when he looked upon the eager face of his son, he let no sign of this be seen. Do as your heart calls, Anya, which is child. I shall miss you sorely, but with Viantor as captain, under the grace of the Valar, I shall live in good hope of your return. But do not become enamored of the great lands, you who one day must be king and father of this isle. He's
Aww.
such a good dad. Like, he can't, he's like,
Yeah.
I've got a bad feeling about this, but I can't say no to that face. Look at that face.
Hmm. It's, I mean, I felt this as a parent before where you're like, I really don't want you to do this. It's just my hang-ups about things. But
Mm-hmm.
I know you have to spread your wings. You have to go.
Yeah. It's a tough one being parents, all you guys.
I know.
It,
I know.
but I feel like he. What's funny is that the repercussions of this decision are going to bite him in the butt later. So like
Yeah.
him having this hesitation, and then like knowing what later, you're like, don't do it. But you can't say no to his son. He wants to make his son happy.
I know that he's a good dad. He's a good
He's a
dad.
very good dad. So Aldarion leaves on his very first voyage to Middle Earth on a ship named Númenórean, which is West Wings.
West Wings, like the show.
I know. Like the show. Yeah. Quoted, ere day was over, he saw Numenor sink shimmering into the sea, and last of all, the peak of the Meneltarma, that was the big holy mountain, as a dark finger against the sunset.
Honestly, like, I don't know. I feel like Numenor is so cool that it would be hard sell to try to find something cooler to like leave it for that long. I don't know. Like the treacherous journey, is it worth
Mm-hmm.
it?
Yeah.
What has he heard about Middle Earth to make it like, ooh, this is an exciting place? Is it just because he's like got that island
Island fever.
island fever where he's like, I've been stuck on this island my whole life. I want to see something new.
There's a bit of that. I do think that his grandpa being, having been to Middle Earth before very much was a role in that of like, you'll see lands that are, so different from Numenor. And, the Eldar, I mean, we're only visiting this one little area in Numenor. And, Círdan's a big name. Círdan is one of the OGs. He is old.
Yeah, he's a pole. He's a
Yeah.
pole, man.
And Gil-galad, I mean, who wouldn't want to meet Gil-galad? So, I mean, and this will ignite something in him that I don't really relate to myself because I'm a homebody, but just this like constant need of seeing new things and going new places and, the explorer, you know, um, trait is very much at the heart of Aldarion.
See, that's me. That's very
Mm-hmm.
me. But I've got the opposite problem where I want that, but I'm stuck at home. Like my um friend, my really good friend, um she's a little older than me and all their kids are out of the house. And so like they've been going, she's like been nonstop doing trips. Like I went to see her sister, or she went to Disneyland for a week, or she went to Japan and she went to Thailand and she went to India and she's doing all these things. Like she's constantly gone.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, oh, I'm just so tired of being gone from my house. I just want to be home. And I'm like, I have
Yes.
the opposite problem.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm stuck.
Yeah.
I'm stuck at home.
Yeah. Yeah.
So maybe I get it. Maybe I get it a little bit more that like, yeah, it would be fun to get out of that. I call it get out of my enclosure.
Right. But the key difference, I think, is though, would you risk your life to go find something? Yeah.
No.
Right. So Aldarian would keep a record. I mean, they mean diary, right? Um, of
Dear diary.
of all his journeys to Middle Earth because he would end up going on a lot of trips to Middle Earth. And they were all saved in a special library in Romena, which is that main port city. But of course, that Calabeth, just ruins everything. And there was no room on the escape ship for all the cool records. So, you know, he wrote
Aw.
all of those diary entries for nothing.
No.
Yeah. Because of that, Tolkien writes here that not a lot is known about his first sailing to Middle Earth. And then he goes on to tell us a bunch of stuff that happened on this trip. Like, not much, but let me go on.
Yeah.
So this trip takes 2 years, and during which Aldarion got to meet and become besties with Círdan and Gil-galad. He got to
So
go to
his grandpa
Lindum.
held up his end of the bargain and they did get to meet Círdan and Gil-galad. That's pretty
Oh,
cool.
yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. He got to go to Lindon and West Eriador, which is the area that would later become the Shire, which I'm sure was beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the main reason it took more than 2 years for Aldarion to come home, it's because he like really studied hard under Círdan about making ships and quote, the building of
Mm.
walls to withstand the hunger of the sea. I thought that was interesting. A good way of putting it.
Hmm.
So when Aldarion finally made it home, his dad, Meneldur, wasn't thrilled. In fact, he was in great disquiet, which
Oh, the
I can
silent
feel
treatment.
that somehow. Great disquiet. It radiates anger somehow, but it's so quiet.
Mm. He was sad. He missed his boy.
Yeah. So Meneldur,
His boy stayed away too long.
yeah. So Meneldur, sees his son and he can tell that he's changed. Quote, he had grown in stature and his eyes were brighter, but they looked far away.
So he's got that like
I've seen things.
My home is on the sea.
Pretty much,
I don't
yeah.
belong here.
Yes. So Meneldur asks Aldarion, quote, "What did you see, Onya, or child, in your far journey that now lives most in memory?" I feel like this is like the question I asked Lizzie on the way home from school. So how was school today? What was your favorite part?
I always ask Oakley that, and he goes, I don't want to talk about it. I was like,
Lizzie always goes, I don't know. I don't
okay.
remember. I'm like, I'm glad that you're there for so long and not remembering anything.
He didn't show his dad didn't get to read his diary.
Apparently not. Um, and Aldarion takes a while to answer. Like he doesn't have like it ready to go. And when he does,
Hmm.
Meneldur can tell he's not telling him everything. He lists all the, kind of the general things. Like, I got to see elves, I got to see cool mountains, green lands. But what has really changed in him is this new love of the sea. Quote, "For Aldarion had become enamored of the great sea and of a ship riding there alone without sight of land, borne by the winds with foam at its throat to coasts and havens unguessed. And that love and desire never left him until his life's end."
And my life, my love, and my lady is a sea. Bam, 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 bam,
Literally,
bam.
that song was stuck in my head this whole time making this outline. So this love and desire
My love and my lady.
will be a constant pull for Aldarion in his life, sometimes at his own, but unfortunately, mostly to others' detriment. So keep that in mind.
Did his grandpa come back, or did he stay over there?
He came back, and you want to know, speaking of his grandpa, what he did? He gave that same ship to Aldarion as a present. Wasn't that so nice of him?
What? He got a
He got a
ship?
ship. But again, typical grandpa move when like the dad's like, you're gonna be the king one day. Let's keep you home. And grandpa's like, I got you a ship.
I got your motorized ship.
um,
It's like the parents are like, I bought your 4-year old a
yes.
motorbike. Isn't that what he wanted?
Yes. So Aldarion lasts all of 3 years until he starts begging his dad to go sailing to Middle Earth again. It only lasted three
How
years.
long is the ship time from sailing to Numenor to Middle Earth? Like, how long is that?
Um, I'm actually not sure, but I really think it's not years. Maybe a month. Maybe in my head it's a month. Um, so after waiting 3 years, holding off, he sails again to Middle Earth, where he was, quote, 3 years abroad, and not long after another voyage he made that lasted for 4 years.
Whoa.
And in this time, he's, exploring
He,
up and down the coastline of Middle Earth, just having the time of his life.
wind in his hair,
Yes.
smell of the sea.
Hmm. So, meanwhile, on one of Aldarion's visits back home on Numenor, his other grandpa, the king of Numenor, had just relinquished his scepter to Meneldur, his father. So Meneldur received this scepter finally from his father at the age of 197, which is interesting compared to his father, who was 240 years old when he took up the scepter, and then passed it on to his son at the age of 390, and then lived for only 11 more years until he died.
Dang.
Yeah. Interesting on Numenor that it's not the death of the previous king for the heir to become king, because with their longer lifespan, that would have been quite a long wait.
Yeah.
And it
I
is.
wonder.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying how old they were when they were born. Like, how old his dad was when he was
Oh,
born.
yeah, that's a good question. Um, what I find interesting is that there's not like a set age or time frame when the scepter is passed because when Meneldur got it, he was 197, but when his dad got it, he was 240. So there's not like a set. It's like I only feel like I got a few more years left in me. I guess I'll pass it along.
Yeah, wait, let me do some math. Let me do some math here.
I could look it up if you really wanted.
It said he was 193 when he had his son,
I have that.
when his son was
Yeah,
born.
I believe it.
That's great.
Yeah. So, out of respect for his father's new kingship, Aldarion did stay home for a while, but he didn't put his love of ships aside. He used all that knowledge he'd been learning from Círdan, and he made a bunch of new ships. And he was always looking for ways to make them better and bigger and just more of them.
An armada, if you will.
Yes. And in order to make room for that armada, he improved the havens and the docks to better suit all those additional ships and their bigger sizes. So he's trying to stay home while still working on his hobby. So compromise, if you will.
Okay. I have to deal with that in my own life with my
Mm-hmm.
husband.
Mm-hmm. But as you will find,
So I feel ya. I feel ya.
is this ongoing trend in Aldarion's life. Quote, the sea longing came upon him anew, and he departed again and yet again from Númenor.
Does he have kids? Is he married?
Not yet.
Aldarion?
Not
Okay.
yet. We're going to get there. So at this
I was gonna
time,
say, if he is married, he is an awful husband.
that's what this whole section is about, Abby, and you're going to hate him by the end.
No. No.
Like, he's almost up there with Erendil to me. Like, I don't know. Anyways, we'll get there.
Oh,
So,
jeez.
yeah. So this
What's
time
up with
when
these
he,
Númenóreans?
I don't know. So this time he doesn't want to go with just one ship. You know, he's been making a lot of ships, so he wants to go with more than one. So he made a club, and it's called the Guild of Venturers.
Do they have jackets? Do they
Um,
have patches?
they
Do
have to
they have
have,
secret handshakes?
I would assume so. Quote, to that brotherhood were joined all the hardiest and most eager mariners, and young men sought admission to it even from the inlands regions of Númenor. And Aldarion they called the Great Captain.
Is this kind of like the in Rings of Power,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of thing?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
very.
What do
It's
they call it in Rings of Power?
uh,
They
uh,
call it
I,
Sea Guard or something like
yeah,
that. The
yeah,
sea.
yeah. The sea is always right. But
Huh.
yeah, I think it's called the Seaguard or something like that. So kudos to the show for I think that's a really good representation of what this was like, that they had to, you know, apply for it and they had to earn their spot. And it was really like a brotherhood almost. That would give
Uh huh.
you what's the word? Like status in society. That's why
Yes,
Elendil was
if
so
you're part
respected,
of
I
this
think.
guild, then like people are like, oh, kind of
Yeah.
like Navy SEALs, but like
Yeah.
they're not necessarily like, royalty or anything, but people are like, oh, that's a hard thing to be. And they work really hard for it.
Yes.
And it's just a
Yes.
respected thing.
I agree. Yeah, I think that's a really good way of putting it. So uh, to continue on to how ridiculous Aldarion is, he loved the sea and hated the land so much, he even built a ship just for him to live on. He built himself a houseboat, and it was named Iambar, which is sea house. And when he wasn't living on it, he would at times visit other ports along Numenor's coasts, but for the most part, it was anchored off of an island called Tol Unen. Quote, a little isle in the Bay of Romena that was set there by Unen, the Lady of the Seas.
Unin was a no, Maiar?
Maiar, good job. I'm like, I'm gonna leave it there and see how much you remembered. The Númenóreans held the Maiar Unen in great reverence, like even on the same level as the Valar, which is saying something, because she was the one who restrained her husband, Ose, who would cause great storms on the seas. So if you don't want storms on the seas, you hold the person who's in charge of that not happening in great reverence, right?
So Ose was the like Maiar understudy of Olmo, and wasn't he also like?
He was
Oh
tempted by
no,
the dark
am I thinking
side
of the
for
wrong
like a
guy?
hot second.
That's what I was gonna say. He
Yeah,
was like tempted by the dark side for a little bit.
yeah.
Okay, I'm not. I'm
I'm
remembering.
so proud of you.
I'm remembering.
So Aldarian's ship became both home, clubhouse, and library for himself and the Guild of the Adventurers, a place where they could meet and keep records of all their voyages. Now, how do you think Daddy Meneldur felt about all this?
I feel like he was like, we have nothing to talk about. I don't. We have no hobbies in common, and so they become like kind of like, I know this is going to sound super depressing, but it's kind of like my dad and I, where we kind of don't have anything in common, but we're nice to each other. We love each other very much, except that like when we talk to each other, it's like
Yeah,
small talk a little bit.
that's how I feel with most of society. Like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
You don't want to hear about Lord of the Rings, do you? Oh no? Okay. Back to the weather then.
Well, gotta go.
So, quote, Meneldur looked coldly on the enterprises of his son and cared not to hear the tale of his journeys, believing that he sowed the seeds of restlessness and the desire of other lands to hold. So, not only,
Ugh. He
I
could have been
know,
a good dad. He could have just been like, you know what? My son has chosen
but
another
he's the
path.
prince. He's next
That's
in line.
okay.
He has responsibilities.
If it was like a duty thing, then sure. Yeah, it's a responsibility and duty thing. I get
Yeah.
that kind of bummed. Like, come on, man.
But
Like,
also, it's almost like a,
it's that trope of like
go ahead.
the prince. It's like, I
Yeah.
don't want to be a
Yes.
king. You can't make me. I
Yes.
want to
Very much so.
dance. I want to
Yeah.
build ships.
So it's almost like, I mean, Numenor is all about staying within Numenor and making Numenor better and, you know, just building up the island that they were given. But Aldarion is wanting to like increase the visits to Middle Earth. And it's almost like it's not true to that mindset. So he's almost mad too that Aldarion is bringing other people to also, you know, be restless and desire other lands. So it's like a bad influence.
Oh, okay.
So that's actually where
Okay.
I'm going to leave each day, um, in this very awkward um,
No.
father-son relationship. Yeah.
Family
hmm
dynamic that's happening right now. Oh,
But it's gonna get more
fine.
more tension is gonna arise. And it's gonna be awesome. So good.
Woo.
So thank you for joining us on this journey through Middle Earth. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Sisters of the Shire Podcast. A big thank you to our patrons, Dan, Tom, Kevin, Victoria, and Avery. We really appreciate your support. It pays for a lot of the podcast costs that, we do this for fun, but again, it still costs money to make a podcast. So we really appreciate it. If you would like to join our Patreon, you could go to patreon.com/Sisters of the Shire podcast. Starting at just $3 a month, you can join as an elf friend of the Shire. $7 a month makes you a dwarf friend of the Shire, and $9 a month gets you in as one of our men or women friends of the Shire. If you can't contribute monetarily, we understand. If you could please just give us a rating, give us a review, at us somewhere on Instagram, share us, whatever, even send us a message. We appreciate all of the correspondence. Yes.
Word of mouth is cool.
So really, yeah, share the word.
Like if you want to ever like share us with your friends just by telling them like, "Hey, check this out."
No, I need evidence that they're actually contributing to our
Yeah.
cause.
She wants concrete data. She needs to
Yeah,
see the numbers.
I'm totally kidding. Share us with friends, yes. Um, as far as world news, not much happening, funny enough. Last week, I didn't think we had any. And this week, Greece just overtook Lebanon.
No, whoa.
Yeah.
Uh, you're
Shots
forgetting a
fired.
new country that we got that you found.
I don't like, am I having a stroke? Did I do that? I didn't do that. So I shared my outline with Abby, so we can do like the intro and if I have any like little maps or things to show. And funny enough, did you even know that he did this, or did you find out later?
No, I found out later because I went to go back on my computer and it was still up, and I was like, "What the?"
So Fox, Abby's older son, added Wakanda to our country list. I'm sure they're avid listeners.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. King T'Challa himself.
Yes. So thank you, Wakanda, for joining us.
Yes, Okoye, Shuri.
Oh yeah.
Who else? What's his friend's name that Okoye is married to? I can't remember.
Oh yeah. I can
Anyway,
picture him.
Umbaku. We love Black Panther in
Yeah,
our house, so
it's a good one.
the rhino that he rides, he's listening too.
Big fan, big fan.
Yeah. Anyway, well, thank you for teaching me today.
You're welcome. Until next time, I've been Ashley.
And I've been Abby, and this has been the Sisters of the Shire podcast. And we are so happy you are here, and we hope you can join us next time. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for teaching me a day.